We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty.
Police say they fired back when the man, Tom Phillips, shot an officer. One of the children was with Phillips at the time.
The former BYU pitcher who stands accused of assaulting a child pleaded guilty.
This glamorous TikToker was known for her beauty. Then her body was found in a pickup truck.
Authorities say that her deceased infant was found inside of a closet at Snelling's home.
Hey, True Crime Besties. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Seriously. Hello, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Seriously with me, your host, Annie Elise, and I've got a special surprise for you.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
I know, I wasn't either. We've got a co-host on the mic today. Amy's with us again.
Shocking. Just kidding.
Can you sing like that you're happy to be here too? It's Coronation
I'm
Day.
not going to have anyone suffer through singing on my side. Sorry.
Well, whatevs. So Amy's joining me again today for Headline Highlights, and we are fresh off the heels of CrimeCon. Why are you looking at me like
Just because I'm like, you're right. It's been 2 days, but it feels like it was just yesterday.
I know. How are you feeling?
Honestly, it was such a great weekend. I feel like coming off of tour and we've been back to back with things, I was a little bit overwhelmed at the thought of like the weekend and just knowing how many people were going to be there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But I felt like as the weekend went on, it just got better and better.
Yeah.
And there were just so many rewarding moments. Like, I don't know, I just kept feeling like moments where I just thought it was just such a great weekend.
I know. It was a really great weekend. It's always so nice to like not only meet so many of you guys in person and like connect with you and share drinks with you, because you know, spoiler alert, I was at the hotel lobby
Saturday
bar
night.
late. But like meet with you guys and talk with you, and then have the privilege of meeting with victims' families and hearing, you know, how appreciative they are of our coverage, and then meeting other creators and, you know, people who are in the space that I feel like I only either like Zoom with or, you know, tap in, you know, even for example, like Vinny from Court TV. I've been on Court TV, I feel like a million times over the last 30 days, and like being able to connect in person.
Just bumping into him so many times over the weekend was
I know.
fun.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. So for those who unfortunately did not get the opportunity to join, good news is it's coming back in May, and this time in Vegas, which it's at Caesars. And I gotta say, as a Vegas girly, because I grew up in California and like we would do Vegas turnaround trips, Amy knows, like a few more weekends than I care to count. And when I heard it was going to be in Vegas, I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. I
That was immediately my reaction to it. I'm like, no.
I know. I'm like, I feel a little old for Vegas, you know, like, can I survive it? It's almost like, what's the show? Mom Talk. Will they survive this? It's like, will Annie and Amy survive this? But we will most likely be there. Spoiler alert to you, Amy. We most likely will be there.
Perfect. I'll prepare now.
Pencil it in your calendar, okay?
And then what about your panel? Are you going to be putting that anywhere for people to watch?
I actually need to figure out how to get that. So yeah, Steph Harlow and I did a live podcast episode from CrimeCon, and where we just talked about a lot of things in the news. And I believe she recorded it. I feel like they recorded it as well. So maybe we can follow up with that.
It was really good. That'd be
Thank
awesome
you.
if you could post that.
Thanks. Yeah, it was nice. So CrimeCon was really great, and now we are back to reality, and boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to discuss with you guys today. All my true crime besties out there, because we've got case updates, and then we've got cases. And when I talk cases, I am talking like, we've all kind of been talking a little bit, I feel like, about Laken Snelling, the cheerleader who gave birth and disposed of her baby. And I actually went last night on Court TV and talked with Vinny about it as well. But want to talk with you guys about everything that we've learned, because there also have now been new allegations surfacing from people who talked with Lakin directly after all of this happened, and I actually haven't even filled you
I was
in on
gonna
this.
say,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So we got to talk through all that. There's also a case that's giving like Brock Turner 2.0, which if you know, you know. I know there's a TikTok case that's like all over your radar.
Super scary.
Yeah, that you want to bring up. So first, I want to just go through some of these updates from some cases that we've either covered in the past or that we actually talked about last week on Headline Highlights. You look like you might sneeze.
No, I'm just getting settled in because I'm ready for the updates.
Okay, if I thought a sneeze was coming. Feel free to
I'll
sneeze.
let you know.
Okay. So let's start with Travis Decker. We talked about this last week. He's the one where there's been this like 3-month long manhunt happening for him after actually maybe longer than 3 months, after he killed his daughters. They found bones in one of their searches, but it has come back. They were not human bones.
Okay.
They were animal bones. So wanted to just give that little update here. Now, in Emmanuel Haro news, last we spoke, I talked about how their new defense attorneys are the same attorneys who represented the Turpin family. And now in the newest update, still not a lot of news, still not really any traction of what happened to Emmanuel and where his remains are, but both Rebecca and Jake have pleaded not guilty.
We knew that was coming.
Shocker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So their next scheduled court appearance is for Wednesday, the 17th. So TBD on that.
Actually, on that one, though, did you halfway expect one to plead guilty in order for some plea deal?
No, I think they would still flip and like they could, because it's almost kind of like a formality. Everybody pretty much always pleads not guilty.
Right.
Yeah. So I wasn't really expecting anything different, especially from like two dirtbag human beings. Speaking of a dirtbag human being, though, let's talk about Donald Adelson.
Ooh.
So I talked about this while we were at CrimeCon, actually, with Brian Enton. After the jury deliberated for about 3 hours, she was found guilty. And her reaction was kind of epic in a way, because when they read guilty for the first charge being the most serious one, the murder charge, she was like, is the right word? Aghast?
I hate that word, but I do believe that's correct.
Thank you. Okay, at least it's correct. But she was like, what? No, and like fell into her attorney. And I think it was really performative. Like there weren't.
Oh, absolutely.
You saw it?
Well, yeah, I've heard about it from everybody at CrimeCon who couldn't stop talking about it.
No, I know. And like she couldn't squeeze a tear out. It was like in disbelief and shock. And it's funny because Brian and I were talking after the News Nation segment, and I had said to him, like, you know, she used to dress super glamorous. She was like the matriarch of this like really great family. And then she dumped herself down for the trial to look like, you know, grandma from next door in like sweats, the little headphones, the gray hair. And so for me, when she reacted to these verdicts, I kind of felt like, I think it was performative. But I also think that there was a little bit of surprise. Like
You do?
Yeah, like I think that she truly believed she might get away with this.
Just because she's used to always getting away with stuff?
Kind of. And like
entitled?
that she like played the role of like little old granny who's innocent in all of this. Like that, you know, she didn't know anything that was going on. She didn't have a hand in this. So I think that there was a level of shock, not to the degree of her reaction. But I think she probably expected to get out of this a little bit. But yeah, I do think the reaction was like totally performative, over the top, almost just to kind of like further prove she had nothing to do with this, like whether that's because she's going to appeal or do whatever, but to be like, you saw how shocked I was.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, if you're planning on appealing, which I'm sure most people do, they have to have some sort of a reaction that makes them feel or think they look innocent. So maybe
Totally.
she just went over the top on that.
Well, it got so bad that I believe the judge even had to like excuse the jury and say like, collect yourself, Donna, Miss Adelson, get your together, and then brought the jury back in. So
what do you think? You think Wendy's next?
yeah, I mean, not to cuss, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
She's
maybe,
probably shitting.
oh, she is
Yeah.
shitting bricks
Yeah.
right now.
Oh my gosh.
And she had limited immunity because she's testified now in all, 5 of the trials, and she's had limited immunity, but they've been very clear with like what can and can't be used against her in the future. And I think it's only a matter of time before she catches some straight charges over there. And I would not be surprised if Donna's husband, Harvey, also catches some charges, even if it's just conspiracy, because he, remember, was with her on the way to the airport, on the way to Vietnam, the one-way ticket to a, coincidentally, a country that doesn't have extradition. And he sold his super big fancy Lexus to Charlie's ex-girlfriend, who was also involved in this hit, Wendy's brother, for $1,700, which could be argued as like a payoff for it, you know? So we'll see what goes down with that. Now, another update, which I'm only going to go over this very, very briefly because we are going to do a deep dive. A lot of you guys were not only in my DMs after last week's headline highlights being like, we want the deep dive on this case, but when this update came out, I don't think I've ever had anyone send me so many DMs about a case that is not in the United States as I did with this one just recently. So we talked last week, in case you missed it, on Headline Highlights about this father in New Zealand who there's been, you know, this huge manhunt for years looking for him. He had fled with his children. He was in this like nasty custody dispute, all of these things. They had then started like robbing stores. It was getting very dangerous. And sure enough, that father, who is a fugitive, has now died in a shootout with the police.
Oh, wow.
But luckily, all 3 kids have been located and they're safe. So let me kind of break down what happened. As I mentioned on last week's episode, they started breaking into like these little convenience stores for money, for food. And I think I had even said to you, Amy, I think I was like, maybe he is running out of resources or whoever. Yeah, we had said like whoever maybe was helping him has turned on him.
You're in plain sight. Like,
totally.
How are you not being caught?
Yeah. So basically back on Monday, September 8th, the officers were alerted to a possible break-in at this farm goods store around 2:30 a.m. And the acting deputy commissioner had told the reporters that when the officers learned of this break-in, there were 2 people who were riding these 4-wheeled bikes, which I know we talked last week. I'm all ATV or whatever it was that I was trying to explain. I'm like, okay, anybody with a brain knows what it is. But they were spotted near the scene of the burglary, and the officers thought that they could be Tom and one of the children because, remember, they were seen on CCTV from a prior break-in. So I've actually never really heard of this, but it totally makes sense. They set up spikes on a nearby street to like give them a flat tire.
Heard of that?
Well, no, I've heard of spikes, but like not when you like think you see. Like I've heard of it when like it's a high-speed chase or it's something like that, but not like
suspect
we think maybe
coming.
they're around. Because what if it's somebody else drives over the
Fair.
spikes? Like that sucks, you know? Are you judging me?
No, no.
Okay. So anyways, this ATV ran over the spikes and the 2 people stopped. And shortly after that, a huge, storm of gunfire ensued and an officer was struck in the head. Then another officer arrived at the scene and shot at Tom. And it was like this full-on shootout. And shortly after, Tom was declared as deceased. And the child wasn't injured, luckily, in the shooting and was taken away to safety and into custody, as well as the other 2 children, who, by the way, the other 2 children were located about a mile and a half away from this and unharmed, but fully at like this bushy campsite. So they were totally like living off the grid for sure. Now, again, deep dive is going to be coming on this case because I have heard a lot of conflicting information. And I don't know what's true. So let me just throw that out there before you guys all like come for me. Apparently with the custody dispute, there have been certain rumblings out there that Tom was saving the children from the mother. And that there was some bad stuff going on with her. Again, we know custody disputes get super nasty. Parental alienation, like just from cases that I've covered, it's like a really big thing. So before I like actually speak on that in a meaningful way, like I just want to be clear that is just speculation out there and rumor. I haven't been able to verify or vet it yet, but that he was trying to act as a hero to his children. It could also be that he's just a dirtbag and was basically, if I can't have them, you can't either. So deep dive is coming. Now, this next case, this isn't an update. Now we're going to get into like the meat of this episode.
I don't think I know this one.
You're going to be freaking pissed.
Oh, great.
All of you at home.
That's just what I need.
No, I know. Just what you need. Another reason to be enraged. God. No, you and all of like my true crime besties listening, whether you are on the road, working out, whatever you're doing, scrubbing the toilets, you're about to scrub extra hard. This is going to honestly make you see red. And it gives Brock Turner vibes. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. He's like that like douche canoe, twerpy ass face with the like bleach blonde hair from years ago. Yeah. So I'm not going to say this very lightly. You know I don't say things lightly. This case out of Utah It is beyond disturbing, and I still cannot believe how it ended, and that is why I am so mad about this. So we're talking about this creep named Camden Dahl. He's a college athlete who seemingly had everything going for him. That is until, of course, it all came crashing down. And you already know, I'm obviously fuming over this. So let me just shut up about that and break down what's going on. So Camden was this like rising baseball star. He was from Blackfoot, Idaho, and he played at the College of Southern Idaho. Then he transferred to BYU, and he was the starting pitcher for their baseball team. So he was like this full-on student, athlete, had jersey, people wearing his name, he had stats, like the whole deal. People loved him, and people were actually hyping him up as like he's the player to watch. He's got a whole crazy future ahead of him. However, on February 7th, Camden was arrested in Utah. And wasn't DUI, not that that's light or anything like that. It wasn't shoplifting or a bar fight. The charges were horrific because he was hit with felony lewd conduct with a minor under 16 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Then there was another case with the same charge from juvenile court in Bingham County. So 2 separate cases, 2 different counties, 2 different sets of allegations. So here's where it gets a little complicated. Not complicated, but I really want to break out the charges within the 2 counties because it does get important later on. So in the Fremont County case, Camden was accused of a girl when she was just 11 years old. And during her impact statement, the now 15-year-old girl explained that he would cover her mouth so that the nearby family members would not hear what was happening.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And this apparently happened for years, starting when she was just 7 years old.
What?
Yeah, like a sick freak. So for years he was doing this. And
Disgusting.
I'm uncertain if she's a family member, and that's why she was saying he covered her mouth so other family members wouldn't know. There's kind of some mixed reports out there. I've heard
Especially
family
at that
member, family
age.
friend, but it's a minor, so it's like everything's very protected. But yeah, she said that it stretched back even further, saying it began when she was as young as 7.
I mean, likely a family or family friend if you have access and you're in the same household at that age with somebody.
It's just, yeah, it's like a predator's best case scenario, which I want all of you guys listening to hear this victim impact statement for a second.
Your Honor, I want you to know that one of the things I've always wanted to do is to confront my abuser, Camden, and tell the truth. Today, I'm able to do that. I'm a survivor. Camden deep down hurt me in ways I don't ever fully heal from. I want Camden to know I'm not your victim anymore. I'm not your anything. My earliest memory of the abuse is 7 years old, but I know he was touching me before that. Almost every time we were together, Camden was touching me under my clothes. The abuse caused damaging memories for me, some of the memories are so painful. The games he played where he would pick and choose when it hurt me were awful. Some memories are so damaging because it was me holding in cries of pain, while Camden was being pleasured. Or it was me fighting him, but he would force it. I was just 11 years old when he covered my mouth because he didn't want the family close by to know what he was doing. He was in college then. I didn't even know what was happening to me, just that it hurt badly. I felt small, dirty, and confused because someone I cared about.
Now, the stepfather of the victim also gave a statement in the courtroom, and this really, as just a parent, absolutely breaks my heart because he said, quote, "I cannot even hug my daughter. Touch repulses her. She cringes and pulls away every time I make an attempt to hug her. Please let that sentence marinate with you for a minute." Which that is, so I can't imagine wanting to go hug Theo or Emmy and them not even like allow me to hug them because like they're so scared of touch. It's so awful. And all during this, Camden just kind of had this like blank stare throughout this hour-long court proceeding. And then finally, when the stepfather was giving that very emotional, very impactful statement, he did shed one single tear, not multiple, one tiny little droplet that he was able to squeeze out. But take a listen.
I feel like all this is my fault, that I should have protected her from it happening. I couldn't, and now I will live with this guilt for the rest of my life. From a young age, Camden would always push the boundaries of everything, even physical touch, oftentimes making people feel uncomfortable. There were a few instances that my wife expressed concern to me about situations, which I chose to ignore to avoid conflict. I'm still trying to understand how old Camden was. My heart is very broken. He is my nephew, who I watched grow up his whole life. We have shared lots of memories together, from being neighbors to boating trips and family dinners. I also coached him and had him in my class at school. We all loved him and supported him, all while he was my daughter. He sat in my advisory class every day through high school, sitting across from me, knowing what he was doing to her. This is the biggest betrayal to me. When I thought we had a bond that could never be broken, he did these things right in front of me, in front of all of us. Unfortunately, that bond, that trust, and my family have been broken by Camden's daughter. I love all the people Camden has hurt, and that has broken my heart.
So here's the thing. I mean, these weren't rumors. These were real charges that were backed by law enforcement, court documents, testimony, and with all of that strong evidence and, a strong case, it looked like this case was going to go to trial and that there would finally then be some justice with all of this. However, in May, just in 2025, just a few months ago, Camden took a plea deal. And here's where I start to see red, okay? Because this plea deal is absolutely ridiculous. Instead of facing a trial for those original felony charges, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of felony injury to a child in Fremont County, the other county. So it is still a felony technically, but it is a significantly reduced charge. And in exchange, the prosecutors agreed to completely drop the charges in Bingham County if he pleaded guilty to the 2 lesser charges in Fremont County. That's why I wanted to divide them out.
But it's like, what's
the point?
And what's the benefit for them? What's coming out of it?
So I'll get there. I know. So with that, even though it's felony charges, it's kind of like, okay, great. Well, even though it sucks and this is not at all justice, what kind of prison time do the prosecutors push for in this kind of plea deal? None.
What?
None. They
How is that even
recommended
possible?
Probation. As though you stole
Who
a
does he
Snickers
know
bar.
in the court system?
No, it's no prison time, no registry. This is a minor going back from when she was 7 years old. No registry, no prison time. I mean, I don't know what is happening here and how ass backwards this is, but the reasoning from what I've read was all to avoid re-traumatizing the victims and to just wrap up the case faster.
I can't imagine that was at the request of the family.
I don't know.
I guess maybe.
I get that the last thing that a survivor needs is to be dragged back in through court, re-traumatized, go through all the, horrific details and have that put on display. I get that. But wiping away the original charges completely in exchange for that, that's not justice. It kind of feels like damage control or just trying to make things go away, hush, hush. And it kind of is giving me vibes of Idaho, first and foremost, because we know a lot of the family did not agree with the plea deal that was offered to Brian Koberger and, the lack of accountability that was then had. Also, Emmanuel Haro with the first case from 2018 with Jake Haro and the 10-week-old, how then he was sentenced to prison time, threw himself at the mercy of the judge, and he's like, oh yeah, sure, 180 days, and then you serve 1 day, and then it's community service. And it's like, when are these judges first and foremost going to be held accountable for these decisions?
I'm curious to know why that happened. And hey, if it was the family that requested that and just wanted it to be done, then of course, respectfully, that's their decision. But I would imagine coming forward, and who knows how this all came about, took a lot of bravery and courage. So you'd probably want to press as hard as you can for justice, I would imagine.
100%. And look, I don't know the details if it was the family who wanted this, but after listening to those victim impact statements and considering the prosecution's recommendation, the judge did end up sentencing him to 5 to 10 years in prison.
Oh, good.
Oh, no. Because then he suspended it. And instead, he gave him 180 days in the local jail, 8 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, and $2,600 in fines. So, and that's where it gets muddy, right? Because let's just say, and we need to get a lawyer on here. We need to either call Peter or Emily or somebody. But if the family said, we want this to just go away, but the judge was so repulsed by this that he's like, okay, I'm still going to formally sentence him to 5 to 10 years for his actions, but then we'll suspend it. I could see that but I also could see them not wanting it to go away. The judge sentencing him to that, like we saw in Jake Haro, like we've seen so many times, and then suspending it and just choosing to do this reduced sentence, which this guy is a clear offender of a minor. Like, you're not even putting him on the registry, and give him, 6 months in jail, which I think is anyway, but like at least put him on the registry, at least like do something that would potentially protect future victims.
Exactly.
It's so
Have a record
disgusting.
of
I mean,
things.
how do you go from 5 to 10 years of prison time?
And how often does that happen? I feel like this is kind of new for me to be like hearing these cases where there's like a conviction, a sentence, and then it gets changed.
All the time. All the time.
I know reductions and like time served and there's good behavior and different things come up with hearings, but I didn't realize right out of the gate that they just changed their mind and reduced the sentence.
Yeah, it all comes down to a judge, depending on the case and the court and all of that, but like the sentencing piece of it. But like with Brock Turner, I don't even remember. I feel like he just walked, if I remember correctly. Maybe he spent 30 days.
I don't remember.
Nothing
Nothing
I don't
serious.
remember. All I remember is that mugshot and his creepy ass face. And let's talk about BYU for a second, this school, because once this all went down, they just scrubbed him from everything. But what gave me bad vibes about that, they scrubbed him from the roster, the website, all that, but they gave no statement, took no accountability, no support for the victims, even a statement saying like, we're so sorry, our hearts are with you. Like, we don't stand with this. It was more like, who? We don't know him. We're just getting rid of him.
My hands are clean.
Yeah, my hands are clean. We're going to pretend like we don't even know who this person is. And I don't know. It's really sad. And his family also hasn't spoken out. They haven't said a word, nothing, no public apology, no statement, just silence. And it's like that, all of that even coupled with the lackluster sentence, it's like, where is the justice?
So
in
what's
that?
he doing now? Just walking around because it's a...
Well, he was sentenced to 6 months, and then he's going to have probation, and then he's not on the registry and can live his life as usual. It'll probably be a Brock Turner situation where it's like everybody will know his face and his name. Hopefully. I mean, that's why I'm here, guys. That's my goal here. Spread his face far and wide so everybody knows what a creep this guy is. But
it's like he had it all. Everything
he had it
going
all,
for
but
him.
he's a
Well, I
pervert.
guess if he had started this a long time ago, he really was
just
always on a
sicko.
bad track.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I get that maybe his family's wanting to just like not speak out because they want to like deal with this internally and privately within their family. But I mean, when the crimes are that serious and when your son was like publicly out there wearing your family name on his jersey, his name and that name on other people in support, and like there's allegations of against a child, like people are going to ask questions and you should probably speak up and like do the right thing. It's not like you're going to do any harm now. Sentence is done. Conviction is done. Everything's done. Like, at least speak out in support of the victims. And again, we don't know if this was a family member or what.
Well, and maybe that's why everyone's quiet, because if it is a family situation, maybe out of respect for the other family members, that's a sticky situation.
I know. So I'm going to keep, nosing my way into this case and see what
I know you'll keep us updated.
I will. I mean, because at the end of the day, here's what we have. We have like this former athlete, multiple abuse allegations, different counties where some were actually dropped, and a plea deal that just pushed everything aside. And I don't know. And for the girls who finally did speak up about what Camden did to them, what are they supposed to feel in this moment right now? How are they supposed to feel justice? What message does it really send to them, right? I mean, or to anybody who's in this position. This is why survivors don't come forward.
Well, and that's why before I was going to say that earlier, but then I was sensitive to that, thinking if it was a request of the family, then at the end of the day, I respect that too. But I can't even imagine being a victim. And
no, what
this
kind of
being the
message does
outcome.
this send? Like, oh, a talented college kid gets
Gets
pass.
off again.
Yeah, once again. So like, they're not going to even take me seriously. Why would I even report it? It's awful. So my hope is that even though he might only be serving 6 months in the county jail, I hope this follows him forever. And I'm going to make it my mission to put his face everywhere I possibly can. Because I'm vindictive like that. So that's what I'm going to do it. Because, even if the courts fall short, people don't forget. And I don't forget.
You won't let them?
I won't let them. Look, I love true crime probably more than most people. It's like consumes my every thought, especially because I'm researching cases so often. But you know what I don't love? thinking about true crime all night long. I spend so much time researching these cases, getting into all of the like horrific details that I end up keeping myself awake at night, unable to sleep, just trying to like wrap my mind around the newest information that I've learned. And for the longest time, because of that, I would wake up groggy. I would kind of drag myself around. I would like feel like I had a headache because I didn't sleep. But in enters Beam Dream Powder, because when it comes to solving the case of your sleepless nights, Dream is a lifesaver. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apiogen, melatonin, all the good stuff. And it's designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up feeling amazing. And unlike other sleep aids, there's no next day grogginess, just great, restful sleep. Beam has already improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. And here's the twist. Beam's giving my listeners an exclusive offer of up to 40% off their best-selling Dream Powder. That's right, up to 40% off to finally crack the case of your bad sleep. Go to shopbeam.com/AnnieElise and use code AnnieElise at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/AnnieElise and use code AnnieElise for up to 40% off. Because better sleep, that is the kind of mystery you can solve. Okay, I love carbs. It's no secret. Actually, I have a really embarrassing thing to admit, and Amy's gonna like lose her mind laughing at me, but over the weekend at CrimeCon one morning, we went down to the breakfast buffet and I literally ate a chicken pot pie for breakfast because it was so good and I just love carbs so much. And my normal breakfast, I know it's so gross, guys, don't judge me. My normal breakfast staple when I'm like traveling or in a hotel or whatever it is a really great bagel with like lox, capers, cream cheese, all of it. But I also know that that is like just, dense, packed carbs. But that is where Hero Bread has really stepped in and kind of like, let me still enjoy those carby luxuries, but not feel so guilty. Because, for example, their go-to bagels, where I like will make all of my like good fancy ones, have 17 to 19 grams of protein. Yet it's still so fluffy. It's so good. And I've talked to you about Hero Bread before. Not only are they good with bagels, but like their tortillas are great for quesadillas. Their bread is great for the sandwiches that I make for my kids now that they're back in school. And it's like you get fiber, you cut down on sugar, and you add more protein into your diet just by replacing your one carb with these carbs. It's so good. They also even have noodles. Their all new Hero noodles have more protein and 60% fewer calories than other best-selling noodles. Also, only 5 grams of net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, 12 grams of protein, and 32 grams of fiber. They also have a really good croissant that is like, I think right now they have a 23,000 person wait list for it. Every single time it drops, it's so good. I got my girl Bridget hooked on Hero too. It's just the best. So you can still get the soft, fluffy experience that you know and love, whether you're, packing fresh sandwiches for the kids, getting a breakfast bagel going, the tortillas, the Taco Tuesdays, all of that. There's no compromises, just flavor. Ultra low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and very high in fiber. And Hero Bread is offering you 10% off your order. Just go to hero.co and use code AE at checkout. That's AE at HERO.co. Hero.co, code AE.
Okay, so let's talk about the case that I found about TikTok.
Okay, hit me. You know I love a good TikTok.
Okay.
How'd you even find this? You're not on TikTok.
I know. Well,
I guess it didn't happen on TikTok.
I'm still in the news world.
I know, but you see it like 20 years after I do, once it hits Instagram Reels.
Okay. Actually, no. I see it in the moment because you usually send me TikToks.
You're right. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I hate to interrupt. Continue.
Do you?
Continue.
Okay. We're going to talk about Esmeralda Ferrer-Garibay.
Okay.
So she was a 32-year-old TikTok influencer known online as Esmeralda FG. And she wasn't an influencer with multi-millions of followers, but she did have a solid following of just over about 46,000. Mainly known for her lifestyle content, she would like post things, her designer bags, luxury outfits, and some family content.
Is this a robbery?
Well, but she also would post those trending lip sync videos, which I've never heard of these. They're to Mexican ballads called Narco Corridos. I've never heard of them.
I've heard of the lip syncing videos.
But they romanticize and glorify drug trafficking culture, which sounds
what?
I know that sounds dangerous already.
And people are lip syncing songs to this?
Yeah, and she had quite a few of them that went viral. Here's one of them.
¿Y la traen? En la pista de baile.
So if you're listening on the podcast and that was difficult to hear, you can always watch on YouTube. They're always posted there too. But she was living in Guadalajara with her husband, Roberto, who was 36, and their 2 kids, Gail, who was 13, and Regina, who was 7. A young, seemingly happy family. But on August 22nd, that's when their bodies were found, wrapped in plastic and stuffed in a Ford Ranger pickup truck. Yes, and it was abandoned in the usually quiet neighborhood of San Andreas in Guadalajara.
The kids as well?
4 bodies. It was Esmeralda, Roberto, Gail, and Regina.
That's insane.
I know. So the case screams cartel-style execution, plastic wrapped, dumped. But forensic used CCTV footage to trace the Ford Ranger back to a mechanic shop nearby, where, get this, they found blood and ballistics evidence. So it looks like they were killed there and then transported in the truck, but not taken far away.
Investigators had to work backwards, though, starting from the truck she and her family were found in. According to the Latin Times, authorities used CCTV video and data from the Ministry of Security and National Guard, and that's where they traced the truck's path to a mechanic's workshop. When police raided it, they reportedly found bloodstains, spent bullet casings, and other ballistic evidence. With those clues, they believed the family was executed at the workshop and their bodies were transported in the pickup. The prosecutor said in a statement, while the forensic results are not in yet, ballistic and blood evidence almost certainly confirm that they were murdered at that location.
So wait, so she used to post TikToks glamorizing cartel stuff or lip syncing to these cartel songs, posting luxury handbags, designer handbags. Then she gets killed in a cartel style hit.
Yeah, but it's not so straightforward.
Okay.
So it looks like they were killed, not taken far away. How could somebody even do that? In broad daylight, and no one even knows. It's scary. But people started speculating, was Esmeralda, like you said, involved with the cartels? Was she flaunting something she shouldn't have?
Really? And not just
maybe
cosplaying with her lip singing, but possibly
could
in the
she
cartel.
Be involved? Because who knows if these videos
something?
She somehow has crossed paths with them. Was she flaunting something that she had, which we know she liked to post those luxury goods? And yes, she did post a now viral video that said advantages of having a narco boyfriend, quote unquote.
Uh-oh.
Which, okay, maybe that was just tongue in cheek. But in places like Mexico, where cartel violence is not a joke, I feel like that's, playing with fire.
Well, okay, so let me just think that, I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but maybe she wasn't involved directly with them, but maybe her boyfriend or her husband or whatever was.
I feel like you've been doing this a long time.
Am I solving the case? And
You're getting warm.
And the cartel's pissed that they're flaunting it and publicizing his involvement because it's going to get more heat onto them and they're going to get caught. So he's like, get the hell out of here. Why are you talking about this?
Well, okay, so here's the thing.
Did I solve the case?
Well, not quite, but here's what's okay, there's a lot of weird things. Okay. So hang back.
Okay,
let me finish telling you.
Okay, I'm going to drink my water so I will shut up.
So the authorities now believe the real target may have been her husband, Roberto. He traded cars and he farmed tomatoes in Michoacan, which is AKA Cartel Central. He had recently moved the family to Guadalajara, possibly trying to get away from something. And honestly, that may have been one of the biggest red flags in the case so far, even outside of those viral videos. So because you don't just leave your home, your businesses, and establish life for the fun of it. You usually leave to escape something or flee.
Yeah.
So but here's what's weird. After authorities searched the mechanic shop, the 2 men who worked there were detained and questioned, but released because of insufficient evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And within hours of being released, they were kidnapped in broad daylight right outside of the prosecutor's office. Armed men in vans. One of them escaped and the other one gone, along with 2 of their relatives.
Wow.
I know. So
This
when
is
I
like
was reading that,
Sicario.
I'm like, wait a second. So there might be more to the story.
Are we sure we want to talk about this case? I'm freaked out.
Well, that's what I like. It feels like
I have the chills.
I know. And I was surprised that you allowed me to talk about
I
this,
didn't
which
know-
maybe you didn't know all the details.
I
'Cause
didn't
know
know
you
all the
usually avoid the
details.
C word, but
Yeah.
it seems
Oh.
organized and very suspicious. So as of right now, the case is still open and no official cartel has claimed responsibility, obviously.
We don't
But-
think you did it.
Yeah. We don't suspect it at all.
Yeah.
And no one's been charged. And we're left with this like eerie silence, a whole bunch
That
of
is
questions.
so sad.
So just wondering, like, was it a warning?
And what was the cause of death? Execution style?
Their bodies were just wrapped in plastic.
Those poor kids.
Mhm.
Not, I mean, poor everyone, but like, oh my God, those poor young kids.
Well,
How scary.
And that's kind of a little bit, I was thinking, doing those viral videos. And again, I'm not familiar with what those videos were until I read this, but I feel like when you have children, that might be a bit of a scary thing to do, unless she had ties or her boyfriend or there
And
was
felt like
more
it
to
was,
that
like,
story
Glamorous
and a way to
and,
get
like,
viral
tough.
and you're in with them. Who knows?
Oh,
Um,
man.
But so yeah, just trying to figure out, was it a warning from them? Was it some personal vendetta? Was it Esmeralda's public presence and like all of these luxury goods made her a target? Or were her videos seen as disrespectful by the cartel or by the wrong people and led them to who they were really trying to find? Maybe her husband.
Jeez.
So yeah, I don't know. But what we do know is if you're in a place where cartels are holding the power and even the illusion of wealth or any of that makes you a target, like, why are you doing that?
Yeah,
Number one.
don't.
And then, you know, that's the tragedy is you have this woman who's trying to live this good life online. You have her husband who's trading cars and then her poor 2 children who were just innocent bystanders and like caught in this world that they didn't choose and had no control over. So
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh,
sad.
that
And
is
hopefully we'll have
awful.
more details and find out really what the cause of this whole thing was.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Ugh. I feel like I need to like scrub my brain now after that. But we have another case that I need to talk about.
Okay.
And it's the one that I talked about a little bit at the beginning. And it's Laken Snelling. Now, I know that you have heard a little bit of bits and pieces, I believe.
Mainly
'cause
from this weekend. I
Yeah.
feel like it was like the buzz case.
a lot of people were talking about it. And I like on the last day, Vinny and I were talking
Mhm.
about it. Yeah. And then, of course, obviously, I went on Court TV last night and talked to them. So let me just kind of give you some backstory for anyone who's listening that hasn't been super caught up in this case. So Laken Snelling is a 21-year-old senior at the University of Kentucky, and she's a competitive cheerleader, but not like your typical cheerleader. She's on the university's stunt team. And what that means is it's basically cheer, but it's like more focused on like the technical components of the sport. You know, the lifts, the whatever. I'm not a cheerleader, but like
gymnastics. Sport.
yeah. Did you just say that weird?
I don't know. I was started to say it, but then I thought like that sounded stupid because obviously cheerleading incorporates gymnastics.
Yeah, rah,
Clearly,
rah.
I wasn't a
No,
cheerleader.
honestly. So anyway, sorry, we're just getting caught up in it. So she had moved to Kentucky from White Pine, Tennessee, and honestly, she was someone who just until a few days ago looked like she was living this very normal, very typical college life. She was very active on social media, very active on TikTok, had this long blonde hair, was always very well put together, kind of had that, you know, Southern look about her where she wore dresses, had her full face of makeup, things like that. But on August 27th, everything changed because police responded to a call at a home in Lexington, Kentucky around 10:30 a.m. and the call was for an unresponsive infant. And inside the home, they found something that not only shocked all of the officers, but everyone in the public and the community is now reeling because in a closet, wrapped inside a towel, then stuffed into a black trash bag, was the body of a newborn baby boy. And it gives Alexi Treviso vibes all over again. She's the one.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're super familiar. She threw away her baby in the hospital
Mhm.
trash can. Yeah. So just a baby deliberately hidden inside a closet, not just unresponsive either, but no longer alive. And as I'm sure you have all gathered, that baby was Laken's. Now, according to reports, Laken had given birth inside her home, this home that was off campus. She was alone. She hadn't told anyone, not her friends, her family, her cheer squad, not even her boyfriend, as far as we all know. Then, once the police discovered this baby in her closet and confronted Laken, she admitted that after giving birth, she cleaned everything up. That's how she described it. She cleaned it all up. All of the evidence of her having a baby was put into a black trash bag. The baby was put into that black trash bag, and she threw it away, which it's just gut-wrenching when you hear about it. But here's where it starts to get interesting too, and I have more I need to share, but let me just pause really quick. It's unclear who made that 911 call.
Okay, yeah.
And I did talk with Vinnie Politan from Court TV at CrimeCon about this. And it's unconfirmed, but he said he had heard, or they had been told, that the reason the 911 call happened is because whoever called was alerted about the baby due to the odor that was coming.
Oh my gosh.
So it's tough too, because we don't know exactly. Now Lakin is obviously like scared.
And was the baby born alive?
I'll get there. So, but we don't know the exact day that she gave birth. We only know the day that the baby was found. So if there was an odor, what was the level of decomp? How long has that been? Like, and let me get into all of that. So basically, after finding the baby, it took 4 days for the authorities to do a thorough investigation of the scene. They conducted interviews and they, looked at all of the evidence, and they did determine for certain that this baby was Lakin's. Then, once they felt like they had enough evidence, on Sunday, August 31st, Lakin was arrested. She's now facing 3 felony charges: abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and concealing the birth of an infant. But here's where it gets complicated. She is not facing any murder charges.
Okay.
I know. And it's because as of right now, there's no official cause of death or manner of death for the baby. They did an autopsy, but it came back as inconclusive. So the investigators still don't know if the baby was born alive, stillborn, or if maybe something else happened. And in the coroner's report, the coroner said, quote, "I understand the community's concern and sensitivity surrounding the death of a child. We are conducting a thorough and methodical death investigation so that we can ensure that all facts are carefully considered." But right now, there's just a lot of information that's unknown. And I want you guys to take a quick listen to this doctor and what they had to say on the autopsy results.
Dr. Priya Banerjee, tell us a little bit about what you expect the forensic pathologist to be looking for at autopsy.
So these are incredibly complex cases. I've handled not quite a few, but a few in my career, and I'm glad they're limited to that. What's going on is that you have to prove, which is incredibly difficult, whether the baby was born alive or not, to then, if it was alive, to then bring murder charges. So that's a big if. It is very difficult just from... there can be so many variables as to why even a full-born or full-term baby can be born, stillborn, and even an autopsy doesn't always find the cause. And so if it's nebulous like that, they may not be able to prove the murder charges. I also don't know the condition of the body of the baby, and plastic is not breathable. And so that can promote decomposition very quickly, sort of, help the tissue disintegrate more, get what's called macerated. And so that can also limit how accurate any autopsy findings are. And I just want to highlight that there have been a lot of, convictions overturned and sort of disparities, if you will, with the float test. There was a test that's shown to be erroneous where lungs float in water at autopsy, and that's been used to quote unquote prove homicides in the past, but that can be false positive with decomposition. There's a lot of, it's a test fraught with problems, so that's not thought to be reliable anymore. So you really have a lot of investigation and studies to do to even try to prove whether the baby was born alive.
Now, what's especially strange in all of this is that before any of this came to light, Lakin had been posting on social media. As I said, posting regular, typical college girl stuff, but also posting things that were about motherhood. She reportedly would write things like, goals under photos and memes of images with moms and babies. And in her last TikTok, which was posted back in June on the 25th, she had even included an emoji of a mother holding a baby under her own list of goals. Then she had like other emojis of a wedding ring, a house, cash. She even was sharing posts that people now are interpreting as like maternity style photos, where you can certainly see what looks to be a baby bump in them. There's some photos where her boyfriend's touching her belly as well, but no official pregnancy announcement. So it kind of begs the question, was this something that she wanted? Or was it something that she was hiding? And if she was hiding it, why? And of course, people are going to speculate. And everybody right now is digging through her posts, talking about her boyfriend, her cheerleading team status, her family. Some people are saying that the boyfriend was not the father and that he found out that he wasn't the father. And that's why she then wanted to get rid of her baby, because she wanted to save the relationship, which again, that's not confirmed. It's just a rumor. But the rumor mill is like running on overtime right now. And a lot of people are also coming through the woodwork, giving information about the case that they say they have firsthand. And I want to get into that because it is unverified. Let me be very clear. It's unverified, but it is very detailed and pretty chilling. So once more, want to be super clear, this next bit of information has not been confirmed in a police report or in any sort of official statement. It's all alleged, but here we go. So a person who has not been named but allegedly works at the hospital where Laken was then treated after the police found her baby in the closet said that, quote, the baby was estimated to be a 38-week baby boy. They also said that Laken, quote, required a blood transfusion and had a second-degree laceration or tear where the delivery had taken place. This person goes on to say that Laken allegedly told hospital workers that the baby was blue after he was delivered, that he didn't cry, but that he did, quote, whimper. So Laken then allegedly wrapped the baby in a towel and delivered the placenta 20 minutes after delivering him. She allegedly also told this worker that she covered the baby's head with a towel, fell asleep for what she described as, quote, some time, and then once she woke up, she decided to finish cleaning up the mess and dispose of all of the evidence, which we do know that she did admit to the cleanup and all of that. And going back to the whimper, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, and so I only know what I know firsthand from when I've delivered my kids. A whimper doesn't necessarily mean that a breath was or wasn't taken, but oftentimes, especially if there is stress or trauma during delivery, usually babies will be delivered and start crying, or that's the hope, because you want to make sure their lungs are working and all that. Sometimes if they're not, and if they do just a whimper like this, you'll see sometimes even movies where the nurses have to like slap the babies and hit them to like get the reaction to like, not like hit their butt and stuff like that to like get them like not awake, but you know what I mean? Like to stimulate a reaction. So some people, after this news has been out there, and again, it's not confirmed, some people say perhaps Laken thought that the baby was dead and that her son was stillborn or wasn't breathing because there was no crying. It was just a whimper, and that's why she panicked and disposed of him, which arguably, look, I've never, thank God, been in a situation like that. If it were me and if I heard a whimper, I would call an ambulance and you would do life-saving measures.
Where was she when she delivered?
In a house, in her house, off campus. And she had been hiding it. She hadn't told her family, apparently, that she was pregnant. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. But the hospital worker also adds that Laken was accompanied by police the entire time that she was at the hospital. And again, that she allegedly knew that she was pregnant, but that she didn't want her parents to know. So because of that, she was going to plan on going to the university's student health center to get prenatal care. But it's unclear if she actually ever did go, if that was just a lie, and she was trying to say that because the police were there. I don't really know. Meanwhile, another person who has also come forward, who is allegedly a family member of either Laken's father or of her boyfriend, a little unclear, but they said that the baby was full term, that he weighed under 6 pounds, had a head full of black hair, and also had, quote, baby sideburns. Allegedly, there was a funeral service that was held, and Laken did attend, but the baby, his physical body, was not buried because, and I don't even know if he was actually at the funeral either, or if it was more like in just a service, but because there's additional testing that the state has to do, and it hasn't been completed yet, they can't, of course, bury him.
Well, so my question is, if she concealed this pregnancy, delivered in secret, no one was around, where are all these details coming from?
So these are details from her going to the hospital after the fact because, and I'll get to that she was worried about getting sepsis. And then the police were there after they discovered the baby, and she's talking to hospital workers. So now that information is coming out.
But about the baby having black hair and being of term and all of those things, number one, I mean, that has to be a confidential.
I would imagine it's what Laken told them because this person allegedly is a family member of either Laken's father or her boyfriend. So somebody close.
It's just like violating her privacy and disclosing
maybe
all this
because
stuff.
they don't agree with how she handled it. I don't know. This person also said that Laken's father is devastated, but her mother is being very cold about it, and that her mom would not call the baby anything but it when talking about what happened, which, like, hello, you're a grown adult. Like, I don't care what the situation is. That's disgusting. They also, as I had just mentioned, said Laken allegedly went to the hospital to make sure that she had delivered all of the afterbirth and wouldn't get sepsis. Further, this person is saying that people are harassing the baby's father's family, which we'll talk about in a second, but we also don't officially know who the father is. So again, I don't know what's going on with that funeral service, what it was truly like. We do know that the autopsy was inconclusive. More testing is happening. So I would imagine that the baby boy is in the custody of the state right now, but I'm not sure. So Laken's boyfriend, Connor, he's deleted all of his social media accounts. But it still hasn't been confirmed that he was, in fact, the father of this baby. In fact, reports are now coming out that the ex-boyfriend of Laken's has submitted a DNA sample to determine if he is the father's baby rather than Connor, apparently. And it really isn't clear how long she's been with Connor or when she and this ex broke up. But it does seem like things could have, been going on or brewing around the time she got pregnant. Yeah, and that also goes back to the conversation, or I should say the theory out there of like, did Connor find out he wasn't the father because she admitted it? Not through DNA testing, but maybe she admitted it, or he just like realized, or like maybe this ex came forward. So that's why she wanted to get rid of her baby, to be like, I don't even want it. It's not ours.
Well, and that's why I'm thinking the blanket over the head, thinking that it was a whimper and that there was something wrong with the baby doesn't sound right. Because if you were trying to have a healthy pregnancy and wanted a healthy baby, you would go to the hospital 100%. When you're about to deliver versus trying to conceal it by yourself. Even if you were stuck at home for whatever reason, you'd call somebody over. So she was trying to keep it a secret. That's, I think, no question. And so whatever caused her to do whatever she did after that, whether that was a postpartum situation or because she wasn't sure who the father was, or the boyfriend said, I'm not going to be a part of this. She didn't know how to tell her family. Like, who knows?
Yeah. It's all still breaking now. So we definitely are going to be learning more details. There may even be more details the time this recording comes out. So I don't know, TBD. But Laken has withdrawn from the University of Kentucky, and she has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Now, something that I talked about with Brian Enton on News Nation a few days back is that a lot of people are having issue with how she showed up in court, because she showed up in full makeup wearing a red dress, which some people said,
oh my gosh,
she's Southern, that's how they dress, they're always well put together. But other people are like, why are you trying to like look
read the room
way? Yeah, exactly. She also posted a $100,000 bond and was released, but has since been placed on house arrest and is ordered to stay at her parents' home in Jefferson City, Tennessee. So there's another preliminary hearing that is scheduled for September 26th. And during this time, while we wait, the state is just waiting for more forensic results, specifically microscopic testing from the coroner's office to, hopefully find out what truly happened to this baby. But yeah, she's getting obviously a lot of blowback for not only the situation, but her court appearance, things like that, because people are just kind of like, what are your priorities? Like you said, read the room. And I think in cases like this, we know she pleaded not guilty, and we still don't know the situation and what truly happened. We can, I'm sure, all agree, though, it was mishandled. Regardless what took place during the delivery, the aftermath was mishandled. But you're now facing charges. Maybe not murder charges, or maybe that will come. Wouldn't you want to be in like the good graces of the public? And we were talking in the top of this episode about Donna Adelson, for example. She wanted to get the public on her side. She dressed like the little old granny, all of this. Jodi Arias with the glasses, people playing up the roles, Anna Delvey.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. But so people are like, read the room. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. I think it's also easy to kind of become the most hated person in the world when something like this happens, no matter how you dress, what you wear, what you do. So,
well, and like a bigger conversation, which maybe you have more information on this, is now as people are coming forward outside of the speculation of doing a deep dive on her social media and seeing these maternity-like photos or the hand on the stomach or these little Easter eggs, if you will, that people are seeing, like, did anyone on the cheer team, any teachers, anyone on campus, any family members suspect? And I understand that's a very sensitive subject. And as women, we know you don't ever question somebody unless you're very sure. But also, a young girl is in this extremely emotional situation, and obviously carrying a child is stressful, and at that age you have a lot of emotions running through, so I just feel like opening that door of communication so that people can talk to you or that you can confide in somebody. Maybe people should have spoken out if they saw something.
I do think that we'll get a lot of information from the boyfriend, because think about it too.
I mean, yeah, how would you not know?
I'm sure he'd have to know if they're like having sex, and if he had posted photos with her with like hand on the stomach. So like, what did she tell him? What was the story? Like, I think we're going to be like hit over the head with a lot of information in the next coming weeks. So for those of you listening, if you want the deep dive, you know what I say.
Coming.
Podcaster of the people, let me know. I got you covered. I will do the deep dive so you don't have to. So that's what we've got for headline highlights today, guys. If you are in the Texas area, we are going back out on the road next week. Houston is sold out, but we do have a couple tickets left for Austin and for Dallas, and a couple meet and greets left. Phoenix is also sold out, but I guess you could check and see if anything comes up. But if you're in the Houston area, just drive to Dallas or Austin. I think it's far, but do it. So yeah, we're going on the road next week. You can get all of the tour tickets at AnnieElise.com. And then after Texas, we are going to Tacoma.
No, we're going to Orlando and Tampa.
Disney World. So grab your tickets at AnnieElise.com before they are gone. Anything else?
No. Thanks for
final
having me
thoughts?
again.
You're welcome.
I feel like it's been a crazy week, but a good one.
It has been.
Hopefully nothing crazy happens over the weekend.
I know. I hope not. And spoiler alert, I have some really exciting news coming up. We're not going to tell them right now.
Do I know it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Super exciting.
We're not going to announce though for a couple weeks, but make sure you're subscribed to the podcast.
Unless you catch Annie randomly on tour where she tends to word vomit and disclose all kinds of announcements she's not supposed to.
I know. I have a really big problem doing that. When it's like the time for me to just talk on tour, I word vomit and I say all the things that I'm not supposed to say, because I feel safe.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm in the circle of trust
until
in that room.
I get in front of her.
I know. And then Amy, I could just see her like shooting daggers at me through her eyes, being like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" So if you go to one of the shows, you'll probably find out. But and I'm sure now we'll get a question on tour, like, what's the big secret? But otherwise, the announcement will be coming in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you're following the podcast if you're not already. Subscribe on YouTube if you are not already, so that you don't miss it. All right, guys, until the next one, be nice, don't kill people, just get a divorce, and be a good human. All right, bye.
Bye.